Hey all, welcome back to Time Machine Scale Models and another episode of Wayback Wednesday. If you recall, last week I told you that I was going to show you something special, and this is special, to me at least. It's my 1967 Chevy Impala. I built this model back in 1998. Back in 1998, my stepdad, my stepbrother, and myself created a model car building group, and we would meet on a weekly basis to share tools, tips, and tricks, build model cars, and just have fun. This is one of those cars that came out of that group. Sadly though, this is the last model car that I would build with my stepdad and stepbrother. Shortly after this one was built, my wife and I, with our young child, moved back to the state of Michigan. A few years after that, my stepdad would pass away. Several years after that, my stepbrother would pass away. So this car holds some happy memories of better times for me. So let's take a look at the car. So it's sprayed with a Model Master color. I don't recall the specific color. It is not clear coated, but it is polished. It was polished then with a Meguiar's car polish. Today I just keep it clean and looking decent with Novus polishes. So you notice the interior, the red stripes are similar to body color. It's all brush painted. The trim is done in a Tester's chrome silver. I had no idea what BMF was back then. And you'll see the console is painted. Dash. Take a look around the car. Tail. Oops, there goes the hood. I really got to buy some of those magnets to keep my hoods attached. I don't put hinges on my hoods, and I always forget that they're not attached. So let's look under the hood here. Half the work's already been done anyway. Focus. 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 Okay. And you'll notice that it's wired and plumbed. And this car here is the first car that I used actual wire for the plug wires. I had bought the wire at Radio Shack. I bought a couple spools and a bunch of different colors. You notice that the battery is wired to the starter and to the alternator. If you can see that single wire on the back of the alternator there. And you'll also notice that there is a fuel line that comes from the mechanical fuel pump up to the fuel rail. And at one time it also had brake lines that came out of the master cylinder and spiraled down, but they weren't plumbed throughout the car. I didn't run the brake lines under the car. They've long since fallen off. Let's look at the undercarriage. So you notice that this is another AMT kit that has the separate frame rails from the rest of the chassis, and I painted that in body color as I did with the 60 Starliner I showed last week. Now this is the first model car that I painted the undercarriage of the car something other than gloss black and Tester's chrome silver. I used Model Master paints in aluminum and steel for the exhaust, the drive shaft, and some of the chassis components. And you'll also notice that I added aluminum tubes for exhaust tips. At the time, for me, this car was a cat's meow. I was using techniques I had never done before and painted the underside of the car something other than gloss black and silver. Yeah, I thought I was something back then. My skills may have improved, and I still may use some of these techniques or improved techniques to build model cars, but I still love this one. I have happy memories attached to it, and it pushed my skills back then. The things I did to this car are pretty normal today, but back then, only the top builders were doing things like this. I mean, I struggle not putting plug wires on a build today. Unless I specifically set out to do a box stock build, it's going to have at least plug wires on it. And it's usually wired in correct firing order for whatever engine it is. Before purchasing the wire from Radio Shack, this is kind of funny. You know, we were talking on the groups about plug wires. And did you ever use thread? Well, of course I use thread. I used to use my mom's sewing thread and her candles to make wax thread for plug wires. And although she wasn't too keen on it, it is what it is. All in the name of model building, right? So like I said, this holds a special place in my heart. I do have other ones in my stash. I built the Supernatural Mordor Impala just recently. But I have another two-door fastback in my stash, and I plan on doing that eventually. And you also know my love of Impalas, so there's that. So I know that this episode had some, sad and sappy undertones to it, and I apologize for that. But it is what it is. I wanted to show you this car and tell you why it is so special to me. And I thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around the channel. Like, subscribe, and share if you'd like. But please come back, watch my videos. Feel free to comment, critique, whatever. I appreciate your subscriptions. I appreciate your comments. Thanks for watching.